I'm very pleased with the bike in this limited time on it. I believe somebody might have forgot to fill this thing up. Alright, so what's up everybody? Today we've got something special for you. We're going to do a first ride review of the Honda XR150L. Now this bike's been out for a little while, so we're not going to go over every little detail and spec about the bike. We're just going to jump on it and ride, and I'm going to compare it to some of the bikes I've ridden in the past. I hadn't ridden one of these yet at all. This is, I believe, the first time I've even seen one in person actually, so I'm really excited about this. And this video wouldn't be possible without Longshore Cycles. They are local here to the Florence, Alabama area, so if you're ever in northwest Alabama, southern middle Tennessee, feel free to check them out. Really appreciate them helping us out here. They're a big Ford dealership along with Sea-Doo and CF Moto and a few other brands, and they've got a large selection of used bikes. They love taking trades in, so yeah, check them out if you're ever in the area, and be sure to like the video if you enjoy it, and maybe we'll be able to put some more of these videos together for you guys. So without further ado, we're just going to jump straight into it and see what we think of this thing. All right, and we're off. It's a little cold here this morning, and you can definitely tell because these bikes are carbureted. So one of the things that I'll be comparing the bike to, multiple bikes I'll be comparing it to that I've owned fairly recently in the past, is a Z125, real similar to the Honda Grom, Honda Monkey. Also, I have owned a DR200, and even though the DR200 has the displacement advantage over this bike, it doesn't have a significant power advantage. Suzuki claims on the DR200 like 20 horsepower, but at the wheel it's not 20, it's more like 12 to 13 from what I've been able to find online. And that's real similar to another bike that I had in the past, which was a XR150L dirt bike. So real similar in power numbers to that. Now, a couple of places that this bike differs from the DR200 would be the 19-inch front wheel. This bike rolls on a 1917, so you don't have that 21-inch front wheel. Also, just the size. Now, this is an adult size bike for sure, but it's not. It's like 90% of an adult size bike. It's definitely bigger than a Grom and a Z125. However, it's not full size, if that makes any sense. It's just a hair smaller. One thing I initially thought that I wouldn't like is the seating position, due to the seat being having like a humped rear in like the passenger portion. However, I thought you'd maybe want to sit a little further back, but looks can be a little deceiving because it's pretty comfortable. Also, the suspension right off the bat, I didn't look to see if the rear shock's even preload adjustable or not, but very little sag. When I sit on the bike, I'm 170 pounds and 5'7" for reference, so I was expecting a little more sag, kind of like what you'd see out of the DR200 or even the Z125 and the Groms, at least just off the showroom before you have a chance to maybe tweak the preload if it's even adjustable on some of them models. And power wise, I mean, I haven't given it the beans yet, but it feels very similar to that Z125, that Grom type power, which is to be expected, although it does make a hair more power, but it's also, I think, a little heavier. So, and while we're here in town, you know, comparing it directly to that Z125 Grom Monkey style bike, it's definitely a less pitch forward seating position. Those bikes do provide an upright seating position to an extent, but at the same time they're also trying, you know, really hard to, especially with the Kawasaki, to be a small street bike. So there's kind of that pitch forward position. It's more upright than a full-on crotch rocket, but you know, they're trying to make it a part of that Z line, and so this is a true Dualsport upright seated position. And the bike definitely comes alive a little bit more in the mid to high RPMs, which is, I mean, that's where those bikes also make peak power, but the smaller displacement, it just doesn't feel like those come on as quickly. Hit some bumps here. Suspension pretty good so far for street riding. I'm not going to have the opportunity to take this bike off-road, unfortunately. I can tell you that first gear is pretty low on the bike. Hit another one of these speed bumps. The suspension is, for the street, very good, very adequate. I feel like they've definitely suspended it from the factory for more heavier adult riders than they have maybe teenagers. The front, a little soft, but it's fine. And yeah, very nimble in the streets. I mean, to be honest with you, if I had to do it all over again, this bike was coming out as I was buying my Z125, and in retrospect, I probably would have been happier with this bike than I was with the Z. The Z was fun, but I just live out in the middle of nowhere, you know, by comparison to town or city life, and that bike just didn't have the speed for it. So we're going to test that on this bike here in a moment. We get on a 2-lane highway, and we'll see how she compares to those bikes. And we've got a good stretch of twisty road right here to also kind of compare to how those bikes handle. The 19-inch front, it makes it very, I won't say nimble and quick to lean in, but it's certainly not sluggish. Would definitely be fun on a twisty road. Alright, we're running about 50 indicated now, and the bike has no problem maintaining that up some of these slopes. And it's a little breezy here today, so I apologize for any wind noise. So yeah, we're maintaining right around that high 40s, 50 up this grade, no problem. And that's kind of where the smaller displacement bikes struggle. The DR200 has just enough punch to also beat the more mini motos when it comes to maintaining that county road speed up hills and things like that. There's 55 without much problem. Now it does take a minute to get there. I mean, you get up to 50 pretty good, and then from there it's kind of a slow climb. Again, not dissimilar to the Groms, the Monkeys, and the Z125 and all those bikes. There's 50. So you can hit 50 and fourth without problem. Coming up on 60 miles an hour now. Definitely not a highway specific machine, but I would say out of the box, definitely more highway capable than those mini motos. And considering it undercuts the price of the other mini motos, then yeah, I would say if you're kind of leaning towards that Grom, Monkey, Z125, even if you have no plans of riding off-road. If you're leaning that direction, but you're like me, you do not live in a big city, so it'll require some longer highway stretches to get wherever you're wanting to go. I would say out of the box, this bike would be better. All right, some final thoughts as we're getting back towards our dealership here. I'm very pleased with the bike in this limited time on it. I believe somebody might have forgot to fill this thing up. So that's one thing to keep in mind about this thing being carbureted. It does have reserve. As long as you don't forget to put the gas back off of reserve after you fill it up. You run out of gas, you got some limited quantity to help get you back home. So anyway, one thing that does jump out at me is the gearing. So first gear and second gear are fairly low. So if you do want to dip your toes into trail riding, it'll be good for that. Especially if you're a beginner, having a tall bike and then also having something that's not geared to the type of trails you're attempting to ride, or if you're just unfamiliar with trails, it's all new to you, having lower gearing is definitely going to be helpful for those beginner riders. All right, and there she is, Honda XR150L. I don't think I mentioned the price specifically, but these MSRP under $3,000, and I think for that price point, it's probably the most bike you can get for the money, especially considering if you're not buying Chinese or anything like that. So to get something, regardless of the fact it's probably not built in Japan, but from a Japanese company for that price point, that's definitely a good buy in my opinion. And honestly, a better buy than the Groms and the Z125. So let me know what you think in the comments. Remember to like the video if this was interesting to you, and maybe we'll be able to team up with Longshore Cycles again in the future and bring you more of these videos on whatever bikes they'll loan me. So, and also be sure to comment down below if you've got one of these bikes. Let me know what you think about it long term, since I only put 10 miles on the bike. But I do think it's based off the CRF 150 platform, and that was a proven dirt bike for Honda for years and years. So I do believe these bikes will last for a good while, especially considering how most people will probably use them.